welcome. I am so thrilled that you are here watching, but I don't shout hello on my videos because I assume that if you are watching this, you have a tiny baby in your presence. So I start out quietly because I want to do my part to keep that baby asleep. My name is Heather Hennessy, and I lead Heather Hennessy Life Coaching. I coach working women who are brand new mothers. My approach is different from a lot of other resources that are out there devoted to new moms. Most of the rest of the world is talking about how to take care of a tiny baby. I think that part is pretty well covered. What I focus on in my coaching practice is taking care of working women who are new moms. What do those moms need and how can I help them? That's what I'm all about. So, this series of videos is focused on one of my foundational teachings in my coaching practice. I'm going to talk through my schedule simplicity solution for new working moms. This is available on my website for free. If you go to heatherhennessy.com, there will be a place where you can download the PDF and see all of the materials. I will also take all of these videos as I record them and post them on my website as a resource to accompany that document. So for those of you who are attending with me live, you can feel free to post comments or questions. I'll collect those toward the end of this series and do a special Q&A session. Um, or if you would like more privacy for your question, you can message me directly. I'm going to keep these videos pretty short to about 15 or 20 minutes each. I realize that even that much time can be a stretch for a working woman who is a new mother. So, the schedule simplicity solution is a foundational teaching of mine because that's exactly where I started to gain authority back over my life when I was a new working mother. My early months of motherhood were a blur of anxiety and stress. I was a mess, and I felt like I could not get my head above water. My main emotions during that time were anxiety and feeling like nothing was going right. I was 100 pounds heavier than I am right now, and things were falling through the cracks at work. We were really worried about money as a family. There were just so many things that were wrong at the time that I didn't even know how to begin to put one foot in front of the other every day, much less how to sort of make sense of it all. Every day seemed to pass in a blur. It was an indistinguishable chain of diaper changes and tiny amounts of sleep. And I just felt like I had no control over anything. I had so much on my plate and no sense of how I was going to get it all done. Things started to improve for me when I took more ownership of my schedule. At the time, it felt like a really insignificant step, but I have to tell you that it was huge in the effect it had for me. It was actually 4 years ago this week that I began a scheduling practice that enabled me to manage my anxiety, get my head above water. From that early starting point, I made a series of changes in how I manage my time that led me eventually to losing my weight and reinventing my life in every possible way. And the system that I came up with, I still use it today. I mean, it looks different, right? Because I don't have a tiny baby anymore, but the basic building blocks of the system, I'm still living under that every single day. And it's still working really well for me. So, why did I start with my schedule? And why am I so good at helping other working mothers start reforming their schedule? I'm actually a scheduling rock star. I am both a Virgo and a 1 on the Enneagram. For those of you who are fans of the Enneagram, you know of what I speak. Um, I once held a job with the title scheduler for a member of Congress. I've actually scheduled meetings with some of the highest elected officials in our country, and I like to stay booked at least 6 months out with my hairdresser. I have a lifelong strength in organizing and planning that has always served me really well, both personally and professionally. So, in my years of work and life, I had a sense that the person who controlled the schedule was the one who was truly in charge. Think of all the ways that we interact with the world and with each other on someone else's schedule. I know how powerful it is to have the motivation of a deadline for a work project. And I know how useful it is for me personally to put something on the calendar and make the commitment of doing it and then doing it and enjoying having it be done. So, this was a very strong set of beliefs that I had about myself 4 years ago as a working woman with a brand new baby. I was pretty sure that if I could get a handle on my calendar, then the other parts of my life would start to improve. And I was right. You may have noticed that I titled this video Scheduling is Power. It's also so much more at this critical time in your life, that phase of new motherhood where a working woman is both taking care of a newborn and earning the income that's so critical for the family, was the most challenging part of my life so far. I don't want us to gloss over how hard that time period is for us as working mothers. My pregnancy and all the months leading up to the baby's arrival was this time where it was all theoretical. I didn't have a clear picture of what my day to day life would look like as a working mother because I had never done it before. Then, that first few weeks when I was not working and was only taking care of the baby went by really quickly. Then came the day when I had to go back to work. This was the phase for me when shit got real. It became urgently important that I started to function in my career again. As a new mom, it was also urgently important to be with my baby. I had that same feeling that so many first time mothers talk about, where your entire world shifts on its axis. And suddenly my life priorities reoriented completely around my new baby. And that felt so right. And on a visceral level, that's how I wanted it to be. But I knew that part of my care for my baby and my family was as the family breadwinner. Going back to work was not something that was optional for me at the time. So every day, the question for me became, how do I take care of my baby and also earn the income that we need? And that question at the time filled me with anxiety, with dread, with overwhelming confusion, and with self doubt. Scheduling my day became my escape hatch out of that anxiety. It gave me authority over my sense of dread. It quieted my overwhelming confusion, and scheduling ended my self doubt. I used my schedule to give myself back my power as a working woman who was a new mother. I got my agency back over my life by deciding on purpose how I would spend my time every day. So, if you're a person who is naturally drawn to calendaring and planning, then you are in the right place. If you are totally turned off by the idea of scheduling yourself, I am surprised that you've made it this far into the video. But, and this is really important, I think that new motherhood is a place where even the scheduling averse among us can benefit from using the tool of my schedule simplicity solution for this specific season of your life. So, as I said a moment ago, the beauty of my schedule simplicity solution is that it will bring you immediate anxiety reduction and take you out of the tug of war that you might have going on between your baby and your career. That anxiety reduction comes from the certainty that you will give yourself that you will have plenty of time to make sure your baby is cared for and also plenty of time to produce the income that your family needs. You use my schedule simplicity solution to become the powerful decision maker in your life who allocates your time in the ways that make sense for you right now. The other beauty is that you don't need to buy anything. Literally, I started out with some blank sheets of paper and a 3-ring binder. You can do it that way, or you can do it on your phone if you want to. You probably will want some paper just in the beginning to sort of, brainstorm and write stuff down, but managing your calendar in your phone, completely fine. Everything about this is totally free and probably available to you right now in your house. I will provide you with the framework and some templates to work from along the way, and you will be less anxious for having gone through this process. So, I think it's really important to talk for a minute about why the adjustment to working motherhood is such a struggle for so many of us. I want to normalize the work that we're about to undertake together. As I said a moment ago, I was a scheduling rock star when I undertook new motherhood. I had all possible confidence in my skills and my ability to run my own life. They all worked really well for me before I had a baby. And after I had a baby, none of them worked. That was the part of why I was so anxious as a new mom. My typical strengths in my life were failing me, and I was so confused about that failure. And I was missing client deadlines and nothing was getting done at home like I wanted it to. So, with all of this happening, of course, I made it mean that I was failing at working motherhood. No, I was not failing. What I was doing was trying to apply my old life to my new reality as a working mother. It was like I was cluelessly putting one shoe on the wrong foot and having no idea what the problem was. So now that I'm a coach, I know that what the human brain does in times of stress and discomfort is to try to go back to something familiar. This is the normal function of a normal human brain. It actually, in a lot of cases, that brain function serves us really well by bringing us comfort and calming us down. For working women who are new mothers, it doesn't work at all. It did not work for me, and my guess is that if you've been with me during this video so far, it's not working for you either. So think about it. A new mother has just undergone the most profound physical change that the human body is capable of undergoing. New mothers are sleeping at best a few hours at a time. Working women who are new mothers are also earning the income that the family really needs. It is a tremendous amount of change all at one time. It's a whole new way of being in the world for which we are woefully unprepared. Going backwards to my life before I became a mother was the wrong way for me to be going. I needed to go forwards into new habits, new ways of managing my time, and new ways of being in my career. I needed to make changes to how I spent my time at home and at work. But in the stress and discomfort of new motherhood, I did not have the wherewithal to figure out what that looked like. So I spoke a moment ago about how my world tilted on its axis after my baby arrived. That was absolutely true for me. So again, this was something that I knew about in theory, but to feel the actual effects of that massive shift in my priorities and my emotions was completely different in reality. Before my baby, I was not a mother. After I had my baby, I was a mother. It was an identity shift at a foundational level for me that I was not prepared for in any way. Another thing I was doing that was not helpful was buying into the idea that somehow motherhood would feel natural and that I would find some sort of balance. I call bullshit on both of these notions as applied to working motherhood. I plan to devote a lot of time talking about why neither of these thoughts is helpful to us. For the moment, just know that waiting for some natural state of grace to descend upon me where I would find magical balance as a working mother was not useful. Actually, both of those notions caused me a lot of suffering and wasted a lot of my time. The truth of it is that being a working mother takes work. It takes intention and planning. Relying on some amorphous natural instinct to kick in does not get us anywhere. And that expectation of motherhood as being natural is also a tremendous source of shame for new mothers who happen to be struggling like I was. I was completely struggling after a couple of months of waiting for my natural balance and not having it show up for me. I was exhausted and worried because working motherhood for me in those first few months felt impossible and unsustainable. What I found myself doing in my desperation was searching the internet for ways that other working women managed their time with a new baby. I was sure that there were answers out there from women who were somehow doing it all right, but none of the suggestions or tips that I found actually ended up being helpful to me. At worst, the suggestions that I found online put me into a deeper shame storm because they were these perfectionist fantasies with, mothers who were stockpiling homemade baby food and bouncing back to their pre-baby weight. I found lots of people showing off and looking like they were trying to win, some gold medal in the motherhood Olympics. There were also a lot of people repeating some version of the natural line of thought that I spoke about. It was not helpful or realistic. Even the online suggestions that didn't bring up, shame and comparison drama were unhelpful for some other reason. I mean, think about it. There are tons of different careers with many different demands. Every working mom has a different childcare arrangement. Some of us have a partner, some of us are single mothers. So the suggestions for time management that I found were off base from my life in one way or another. Interestingly, I found a lot of resources for moms who had an older child and a new baby. I for sure believe that that's challenging, but it's not the same as the adjustment to first time motherhood. The first time mother is coping with that identity shift I described and simultaneously learning an entirely new skill set. The mother who is welcoming her second child has already gone through that identity shift into motherhood and has mastered a lot of the practical mothering skill set. So the lack of answers on the internet was horribly frustrating for me at first. Over time, though, I realized that my life was really specific, and the only person who could make my schedule as a working woman with a new baby was me. As a brand new first time mother who was also the family breadwinner, I was not able to take someone else's schedule for their life and make use of it in my life. I was not going to fit into any cookie cutter schedule out there. So realizing that I was the only person capable of making the powerful decisions that I needed to make about my life and my time, felt a little daunting at first. Luckily, I'm a scheduling rock star. I figured it out. And I have figured out how to make my system useful to other new working mothers. So, the amazing news that I have for you here today is that you are also capable of making your powerful decisions about your life as a working mother. The solutions for you are not out here on the internet somewhere, they are actually inside of you. What is helpful is a tool like my Schedule Simplicity solution that helps you see your time realistically. My Schedule Simplicity solution gets you moving forward. We take the time to move you into working motherhood in ways that are customized to your life. The whole system is designed to prioritize you, protect your time, and give you what you need when you need it. I also want to be clear that I am not trying to help people win the gold medal in the Motherhood Olympics. There is no such thing as competitive mothering in my coaching practice. I am devoted to getting working mothers the tools that they need to be exactly the working professional and mother they most want to be. That looks different for everybody. As we go through this work, you will see that I don't bring any expectations to this process on your behalf. As I said at the beginning of this video, I don't talk to my clients about actually taking care of tiny babies. That work, mamas, this work is all about mothering ourselves. As we start with the powerful control of our schedules, as was the case for me, doing this work will make everything else easier for you in the long run. I can't stress that enough. Having this foundation will let you build success upon success for yourself going forward. Thanks so much for watching today, and I will be back soon with another video in this series. Make sure you visit my website and pick up your copy of my Schedule Simplicity solution. And that website is heatherhennessy.com. If I can be of help to you specifically and confidentially on your journey adjusting to working motherhood, feel free to send me a message or visit my website for more information about working with me in my one-on-one coaching practice. Thank you again and take good care.